Good morning. It's News from the Roots on Mountain Stream TV. Today is Tuesday, September 25th, 2018. This morning we're privileged to have with us a guest, Susan Pepper, who is a teacher of musical traditions in Appalachia. She's currently making a film called Mountain Miner. And she teaches with the Junior Appalachian, that's the JAM program at Cullowhee Valley School in Cullowhee, and she also teaches workshops at various folk schools. Welcome, Susan. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing.
Okay. I've been playing folk music for about 15 years, and I always loved singing growing up, but it was in my very early 20s. I had a boyfriend who played the guitar and wrote songs, and I sort of had an aha moment that, okay, folk music is something you can do at home. I didn't grow up in a house with folk music or guitars around. So then I was singing in a feminist women's choir in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the early 2000s, and we did a concert called Voices from the Mountains, and I had a solo on a Hazel Dickens song. Hazel Dickens was a great singer from West Virginia who moved up to Baltimore and became well known during the folk revival. And just immediately I kind of found my voice in this mountain music that's not really mine by blood, but it's just something that my voice matched up with the music, and it's influenced my songwriting as well. And I've journeyed through learning ballads and banjo, dulcimer, as well as the guitar, which I started with.
So you were born and raised in Ohio?
Yes.
Yeah. That's very interesting. And again, how did you get involved on such a deep level? I mean, that's so interesting.
Well, I started reading books by ballad singers like Jean Ritchie, who I got to see up in Cincinnati at the same time, and I got to see Hazel Dickens live too in person at the Appalachian Festival in Cincinnati. But I came down to the Swannanoa Gathering, which is at Warren Wilson College.
Yeah.
And then I decided to move down because I wanted to learn more about the cultural roots of the music. And it was just, something that I was lucky to be able to do, something that a person can probably only do in their early 20s when they don't have a lot of roots or responsibilities. I ended up not finding what I wanted in the Asheville area. I didn't feel like I could really connect with a lot of people from the area who grew up with the music in the way I wanted. And I ended up finding something called a Master's in Appalachian Studies. And I decided to apply for that, and I got in.
In which school?
It's at Appalachian State University.
Okay, in Boone.
Yeah. So in 2005, I moved up there, didn't know anybody, and enrolled and lived out in the country, and that's really how I got going on a deeper level.
And you've become very proficient at various musical instruments, Appalachian musical
I hope
instruments.
so.
Well,
Still
having
learning.
heard you play a little bit,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
You play the banjo and you play the guitar, and you have some of those instruments with you, and I hope you'll share that with us a little bit today. So tell us exactly what it is you're doing now.
Now? Well, aside from running after 2 children, 5 and under, I am working on an album of originals. So I've been songwriting for 15 years, and I have one album that was mostly traditionals with maybe 2 originals. And so I have about 20, I've got about 20 originals I'm looking at and kind of sifting through to see what I want.
Originals meaning you wrote them?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I have a backlog of songs, and I'm excited to get them to release those as well. It's sort of, I have the traditional side and then traditionally inspired originals. So I'm working on that. I'm working on a movie that I have a producing role on that's about Appalachian music.
And that's the movie that you mentioned, Mountain
The
Miner.
Mountain Miner. Mm-hmm.
Is it because you're mining the tradition of Appalachian music, or is it about coal mining? What is the meaning of Mountain
Miner?
Yeah.
Well, it's a modally, there's a modally tuning that people refer to sometimes, and there's this minor sound.
A minor key.
Yeah,
Okay.
a minor key. Yeah, that
Okay.
it's a key that can really kind of get to your soul, kind of, and so that's what that refers to, and it's just about the power of the music.
That's very interesting. I mean, there are various around the world.
Mm-hmm.
There are various traditions in music that tend to focus on minor keys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I often wonder how that reflects on the culture in general. You know, I have a Jewish background,
Mm-hmm.
and our music, the Jewish tradition, very often focuses on minor keys as well. And I have come to wonder if that's reflects a tradition of persecution, you know, or somehow just reflects on the general mood of a people.
Mm-hmm.
And do you believe that there's some connection between that and the minor key that's used in Appalachian music as well?
Yeah, I wish I had more of an ethnomusicology degree to know, but I think it's like a deep feeling place that.
Well, I wonder, because Appalachian, there is a tradition of exploitation, for instance, in Appalachia.
Yeah. And the people who have this music all came from somewhere else,
Yeah.
whether it was Ireland or Scotland or
Right.
Africa,
Very often
or
fleeing
wherever.
persecution of various kinds, and then coming here and living a very difficult, oppressive lifestyle in some cases in the earlier years. You know, people did not live long lives in general, and struggled their whole lives. And I think I believe there's some connection between the music of the times. It's like art. You know, it is a form of art that reflects the tradition
I think,
itself.
I think you'll see that in the film too. There's this really edgy, raw ballad singing and fiddle playing, and then it reflects the struggles, internal struggles and life struggles that the characters are having. So part of it takes place during the Depression, and a family in eastern Kentucky is having to decide whether or not to leave their home to go up to Ohio for work.
Each song is a story about something that happened to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's it'll be fascinating to hear some of your music and to see this movie and see how it speaks about these issues. So what kind of reception are there? Many people who are attracted to the program that you're teaching at
the school?
At the school, yeah.
It's been steady over the years. I've only been involved, about 2 years now. I think there still could be more awareness.
Yeah.
There's a tradition here, but I'm not sure that people are that aware of it, of the fiddle banjo tradition. So it's I think it's a bit challenging in some ways.
Are you teaching most children or adults as well?
I teach both, but this program, the Junior Appalachian Musicians, or the JAM program, is it's mostly third through 8th graders.
Oh, I see.
But it's actually open to anybody through the senior year.
Do students come from other schools as well, or is it just at Cullowhee Valley School?
They're invited to. It's mostly Cullowhee Valley and some homeschoolers.
It's an after-school program?
Now they have one at the Blue Ridge School.
Oh, over
and they have
in
one at
Glenville.
Mountain Discovery. So we've got 3 of these
In
programs.
Bryson City, okay.
Yeah, so we have 3 of them.
Oh, I see.
Real-
Do you travel between?
I don't. I did last year. I
Yeah,
did.
oh, yeah.
I did Blue Ridge as well, but I'm cutting back this year, just to
Okay.
the one.
And so is it exclusively music that you're teaching?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you share with us what the curriculum
What
looks
it
like?
is? They're taking fiddle, banjo, and guitar,
Mhm.
and mandolin, and they work on their instruments, and then they work as they get more advanced in a string band setting, where they learn to play together in a band.
And you're teaching them, children or people, how to read music as well?
No, it's by oral, in the oral tradition.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's really fun. This
Mhm.
music can sometimes get pretty serious, so this is more the folk process.
Yeah.
More learning music as something that can be part of your life,
Mhm.
as recreation, as
Yeah.
much as formal training.
Mhm. Well, would you give us an example of a song that you
Sure.
would be teaching and playing?
Oh, well, I'll sing, I'm going to start out with one called the Cuckoo. This is a ballad, so ballads can be sung with an instrument or unaccompanied. But there's a beautiful tradition that's unaccompanied, and it's ornate enough that it stands alone. The voice can stand alone, and it's powerful, and it's what I really love. It's my first love in this music tradition. So I'll do one of those,
Okay.
called the Cuckoo.
All right.
And this one's has a little bit of mountain minor in it.
Okay.
Okay. The cuckoo, she's a pretty bird. She sings as she flies. She brings us glad tidings. She tells us no lies. She sucks all the pretty flowers to make her voice clear. And she never sings cuckoo till the spring of the year. A walking and a talking and a rambling goes I, a waiting for sweet Willie, he'll come by and by. I'll meet him in the morning, he's all my delight. I could walk and talk with him from morning till night. Come all you young women, take warning by me. Never place your affections on the green growing tree, for the roots they will wither, the branches decay, and you will be forsaken, and you won't know for why. But if I am forsaken, I won't be forsworn, and you surely are mistaken if you think I would mourn. For I'll get myself up in some higher degree, and I'll walk as light by him as he can by me. The cuckoo, she's a pretty bird. She sings as she flies. She brings us glad tidings. She tells us no lies. She sucks all the pretty flowers to make her voice clear. And she never sings cuckoo till the spring of the year.
Wow. You have such a powerful voice and very clear, amazing clarity to that. And I have heard that versions of that song before. I'm not sure I ever listened to them. However.
Yeah.
I love the use of metaphor in that song. What are the origins of that song?
I'm not actually sure. I think it's an old one that goes back to the old country, England, Scotland, and Ireland.
Yeah, it has Scottish, Irish overtones.
Most often, I hear it done with the banjo, and it's more of a African American version. I think.
No.
Yeah, there are a lot of black banjo recordings with the cuckoo, and a lot of the lyrics are just simplified, and because you have the banjo notes filling in for where the voice is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I ever heard it a cappella like that before,
Yeah, I don't hear, I've only really heard one other person do that, so, but I like the a cappella version too. I do both.
Yeah. Would you like to sing something else for us?
Sure. Maybe I should demonstrate the banjo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
So this is called a fretless homemade mountain banjo.
It's fretless. Look at that. Point that toward the camera if you will, so that people can view that.
Yeah, and it's as you can
it's hollow
see.
In the back.
Yeah, and usually sometimes this metal part was just made from like a pot cut out, so kind of materials that people could make with stuff they had around the farm, and a goat hide or...
Did you have that made for you?
Yeah, there was a maker named Charlie Glenn near where I was living in Boone.
Let's give that person a plug. Who was that?
His name's Charlie Glenn.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the Beech Mountain makers. And there's a big tradition up on Beech Mountain of
That's
making...
out near Boone.
Yeah,
Beech
near
Mountain.
Boone.
Yeah.
Watauga and Avery County, of making this kind of banjo. And there was a really famous person, kind of famous, named Frank Prophet, and he shared Tom Dooley with a collector. And from there, and that was the late 30s, and then from there it ended up in the hands of the Kingston Trio. And he played it on
Peter, Paul, and Mary, and others. So and that's where that came from.
Yeah, and he was a man that made dulcimers and banjos like this, and he played that song.
So he's not around anymore?
Frank Prophet isn't, no.
Okay. But is there anybody carrying on his tradition in his family? Or?
From that region, there are people.
Sure.
And one of them I learned from. His name's Rick Ward, and he taught me how to play the banjo. But he's not from the Prophet family, but he carries on a family tradition from that area.
Okay.
Well, I'll do one called Poor Johnny.
Okay.
Poor Johnny, you grieved my heart so. I wanna be with Johnny wherever Johnny goes. Oh, the war is a-comin' and Johnny has to fight. I wanna be with Johnny from morning until night. There'll be rings on my fingers and bells on my toes. Remember me, Johnny, wherever you may go. There'll be flowers in the garden and fish in the sea. I want to marry Johnny if he'll ever marry me. Oh, Johnny, poor Johnny, it's time for us to part. Don't forget me, Johnny, I love you to the
Amazing.
Thank you.
Had to get a close-up of you, so that's why I stood up.
If you want, I could do Tom Dooley.
Please do.
Okay. Sometimes interesting to hear the kind of an older version that
Yeah.
would be where the more modern versions originated. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Kill the Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die. Better on the mountain, better as my wife. Better on the mountain and stab her with my knife. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Kill the Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die. Dug her grave 3 foot wide and only 2 foot deep. Throwed her in the yellow clay and trod her with my feet. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Kill little Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die. Hand me down my banjo, lay it on my knee. If it hadn't been for Grayson, I'd been in Tennessee. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Kill little Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die. This time tomorrow, reckon where I'll be. Down in Lonesome Valley, hanging on a white oak tree. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Kill the Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die.
That's amazing. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody play a fretless banjo before, but it must, to me, it seems like it must be incredibly difficult to do. I play guitar and various other instruments, but where do you even learn how to play a fretless banjo? It's not a common instrument.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I think banjo is a lot easier than the guitar because the action's easier,
Okay.
and so it's easier to pick out. I was dabbling with the regular fretted old-time like open back banjo,
Mm-hmm.
but I heard Rick Ward. He's a banjo player and ballad singer who lives near Beech Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him play and ended up apprenticing from him.
Uh-huh.
So, and he plays a style that he got from his grandfather that's kind of unique. So I do some of that on this banjo. But it was really, it's helpful learning a tradition from somebody else.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's
Oh.
neat to know a certain way to do it. And then if you change it, that's one thing, but it's just neat to have that foundation.
I wonder if a fretless banjo predates the fretted banjo. It probably would, I imagine. It's
would.
kind of more of a primitive instrument
Mhm.
in a sense. It's much more difficult to learn precisely where to put the frets on
Mhm.
on an instrument, I imagine.
Right.
But it's got an incredible sound, and you're so good at it. I mean, I didn't hear any flat or sharp
Oh.
notes in there, and I have perfect pitch.
Oh, okay. Well, good. That's
So it's almost like a fine violinist. A violin, of course, is a fretless instrument
Right.
as well,
mhm.
and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of skill to play such an instrument. You do it very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Shall we continue?
Okay.
Would you like to show us some of your other instruments or play
Okay.
another?
Well, maybe I'll do this. So I've done some documentary
Okay.
work. So I learned some music from Rick, and then I learned some ballads from some elderly women. And I did that from about 2005 to 2011. And then I took a break, and now I'm kind of back at it a little bit. So I love meeting people who grew up with a tradition and can tell me more about things I would never know. You know, what it was like to grow up in the 30s, and what songs that they knew from their family and where they sung them and that kind of thing. So recently I was with a man in Madison County who grew up with this music in his family, and he has worked primarily as a tobacco farmer and in some construction.
Do you want to give his name? Or?
Sure, yeah, his name's John Anelo Phillips. He goes by Anelo. But he had an African American hymn he shared with me, and so I thought I might sing that today.
Okay.
And he had a story about it. His grandmother, whose name was Joyce Phillips, she was great with child, and I think this would have been the late 20s, and her husband went away to do logging, and so they hired an African American man to help her chop the wood and stoke the fire. And he sang this song, and she learned it by overhearing him. So he may have never known that he passed this song on to not only to Mrs. Joyce Phillips, but eventually her grandson. So his song became a part of the family tradition. And one thing that's fascinating about folk music is all the cultural exchange between, black and white people. We know Native American peoples, although that story isn't as well developed. And it's just, music knows no bounds. So that's, and it's fun to see specific examples of that. So, so this song it's a hymn, but it has a positive message for the current day. If your sister, she do you wrong, don't turn her away. If your sister, she do you wrong. I think I need to start over.
Okay.
I think I got that too high. Okay. If your sister, she do you wrong. I'm going to keep going. I'll stop. If your sister, she do you wrong, don't turn her away. If your sister, she do you wrong, don't turn her away. No, no. She may be weak, she may be cold, she may not have nowhere to go. If your sister, she do you wrong, don't turn her away. If your brother, he do you wrong, don't turn him away. If your brother, he do you wrong, don't turn him away. No, no. He may be weak, he may be cold, he may not have nowhere to go. If your brother, he do you wrong, don't turn him away. If your neighbor, she do you wrong, don't turn her away. If your neighbor, she do you wrong, don't turn her away. No, no. She may be weak, she may be cold, she may not have nowhere to go. If your neighbor, she do you wrong, don't turn her away.
good messenger.
Yeah. So there's still songs in oral tradition that aren't known beyond certain families or communities. So it's a very special thing to get to have, not bestowed, but to be kind of privileged to be taken into the tradition and to get to be a part of it and learn some of those songs that you might not find on a recording anywhere. So I find it mysterious and also kind of an honor to be a part of that.
Yeah, there's a great tradition that's still to be mined, if you will, of song and history, and it's important that we capture that now. I mean, as this area, I know in western North Carolina, is changing so rapidly. You know, the population is shifting, and old traditions, both of the Scotch-Irish tradition, the Cherokee tradition, and the Black tradition, are fading. There's just not that many elderly people around anymore who remember the days before the automobile came to western North Carolina. And I have interviewed several elderly people who remember the first car that came into Jackson County.
That's neat.
You know, but we don't have a lot of time left before that completely disappears, and I think it's important to document that and to keep that tradition going, because it's such a rich tradition, and it's one, I think, that bears many lessons for us.
Well, hopefully with the young people, there are a lot of young people being pulled into the musical tradition, and I think when you learn old music, you can't help but wonder about the people who played and sang those songs before you. So it's a good way to become more interested in history and old stories. So maybe that's going on at the same time as the music gets handed down.
I think it is, to a certain extent, but there's this counter current that's happening to make it disappear, in a sense,
sure, yeah.
You know, just people, technology, and the way people hardly even communicate with each other on a direct basis anymore. It's all through an electronic screen of some kind, either on your cell phone or in the computer.
Yeah.
And traditional music is a way people used to come together and be in touch with each other on a very personal basis, either through song or music or dance. And I know there is a movement to keep that alive, and certainly it's something that I'd like to foster, and that you are you have made your life into the mission of doing that. So let's continue.
Okay, I have another, This is a song that's kind of in process, but I wrote it. It's called Analo, and it's about my friend who taught me that last song, that hymn.
Okay.
And it's about his life, because he has spent his whole life living on this farm in Madison County. As somebody who's moved around a lot, this song's kind of on a meditation on what it means to just be in one place and to know it that well, and to be there for your community because you haven't left. So I'll give it a go.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an original one.
This is an original?
This is an original.
Okay.
Yeah. Original, inspired by an older person.
Okay.
lights in the old log house on January nights. Oh, Dad, John Henry Omi Wise, he's lived there all of his life. The rich steeples, giant oaks, frame a canopy over his home. Each year he gathers 1,000 more stones. He's found something better than anybody could own. Two humble mules plow the rocky clay, sets his tobacco about the 20th of May, plants it by hand in the slopey terrain. It ain't easy, he goes on the same. He's lived there all of his life, singing about them brown mountain lights in the old log house on January nights. Oh, Dad, John Henry Omi Wise, he's lived there all of his life. When the dark wind winds, mountain lion cries, he gently sings an old-timey lullaby. Come with me, he says with a smile, I'll take you to the mountaintop, we'll sit a while, tell you about them who've crossed over the shore of railways and graves beneath this ancient floor. He's lived there all of his life. Mama and Daddy's put to rest, and all of the old folks abandoned and dead. Who'll squeeze his head when he sings his last breath? All of the youngins done gone away and left. He's lived there all of his life, singing about them brown mountain lights in the old log house on January nights. Oh, Dad, John Henry Omi Wise, he's lived there. He's lived there. He's lived there all of his life.
So this is a different instrument you're playing. Is there a story behind this one?
This is an old-time open back banjo, so it lacks the resonator that bluegrass banjos have
Oh.
that amplifies the sound. It's like a metal thing on the back. And this, I have a friend named Patrick Hevner, and he was doing an undergraduate degree at Appalachian State at the same time, and we were on this council together called the Appalachian Heritage Council, and organizing events on campus.
Where was this?
Up in Boone,
In Boone, okay.
App State.
Mhm.
And then he ended up starting a business making banjos. He went and hiked the AT, and then he came back and started making banjos, and eventually he's been able to earn his living that way.
Wow.
And they're called Pisgah Mountain banjos.
And this is one of his. It's a beautiful instrument. Again, I'm trying to think, is it walnut or what that
Yeah, I
is
believe so.
made
I'm
of.
really not knowledgeable
Yeah.
on things. I just play them. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and that's more of a claw hammer style I was playing rather than the up picking that I did
Yeah.
on the other. So.
Yeah.
And it's
So-
more common to see people doing, I think, the claw hammer than
On the
the up.
style banjo.
Yeah.
And I see you're using a capo with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Beautiful inlay on the neck. Yeah, it's a nice instrument. And does he have a shop in
I think it's around Fairview.
in Fairview?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's selling them far and wide.
So are you in touch? There's a network of in this area of this geographical region of people who make musical instruments. And, are you in touch with that network at all?
Not so much.
Yeah.
No, there's someone local, Noel Booth, who makes banjos and repairs things. So that's very good. Yeah.
And you say local to Cullowhee? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in so much as I need help. Yeah.
Does he do guitars
That's how
as
I know
well?
the network. Yeah,
I
he
need
does.
some work on my guitar.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay.
Well, you want to hear more? Or?
Please, yeah.
Okay.
You play as long as you like.
Okay. I'm gonna grab the guitar here.
All right.
Without banging anything. Okay. Right there. I've been playing this one. This is just a traditional hymn that I learned from a Doc Watson recording.
Okay.
But I've just been enjoying it. Oh no, but you're a guitar player, huh?
Yeah. I am, to some degree. I don't know. I'm sort of out of practice.
Okay. So this is a Doc Watson one, and it's called We Shall All Be Reunited. Where is now my father's family? They were here so long ago, seated round the old home fireside, brightened by the rugged glow. We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the sky, where there'll be no separation, no more parting, no more sighs. Some have gone to lands far distant, and with others made their home. Some upon the earth have wandered, all their lives have chose to roam. We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the sky, where there'll be no separation, no more parting, no more sighs. Some have gone from us forever, for with us they could not stay. They have all dispersed and wandered, gone away, so far away. We shall meet beyond the river, in that land of pure delight, without sickness or a sorrow. We'll have joys ever bright. We shall all be reunited in that land beyond the sky, where there'll be no separation, no more parting, no more sighs, no more parting, no more sighs.
That was Doc Watson. I've seen Doc Watson a couple of times live.
Good, lucky you.
Yeah,
lucky
lucky
you.
me.
Mhm.
And I actually recorded him a little bit.
Oh,
in one of the
wow.
places. I don't know if anybody knew I did that, nor if it was legal to do so. But I did it. It was funny. My family, we went on a drive up the Blue Ridge Parkway one day. It was, I think it was the 4th of July. And we were intending to drive all the way to see my sister in Washington, D.C., all the way on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And we came to a campground where we had intended to camp, and it was full right along the Blue Ridge Parkway around It was around Boone. It was around, what's the name of that? It was around Grandfather Mountain in that area. And,
I was singing on the mountain or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, the campground was full, and they sent us off to, what's the name of the town where Doc Watson lived?
He lived in Deep Gap.
In Deep Gap, but there's another, anyway, it was,
Yeah.
the park ranger called ahead to another campground that was about 20 miles away, and he said, well, they still have some camping space over there, so you can drive there. And so we were kind of cursing, oh God, we really didn't want to go off the parkway and do that. And so we went there, and sure enough, there was a campground, and Doc Watson was giving a concert at the campground.
Wow.
And it was just wonderful. It was, I had never seen him before, and legendary.
Yeah, nice to see him in a small venue.
Yeah, it
I
was.
got to do that
we
too.
would get very close and
Yeah.
listen to him. So I'll always remember that.
Yeah. Well, I could do another
Before I let you
ballad.
get
Yeah.
ahead, does this guitar have a history to it?
It does. Well, a friend, it was a gift from a friend.
Ah, nice gift.
Yeah.
Gibson guitar.
Yeah, but he bought it for not a whole lot of money at a yard sale, and it was taped up.
It's just got some wear and tear on it there.
Yeah, it was all taped up with like packing tape.
Oh my gosh.
But he was able to restore it, and it had been used by a preacher. I think it might have been like a Pentecostal preacher for many, many years. So it's been well used.
And where
Yeah.
did you acquire it?
I acquired it just recently. I guess just last summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody here.
Yeah, from a friend who I'm working on the film with. This was kind
nice.
of a gift for helping with his film.
Nice gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Do you find it difficult to transition from, apparently you don't.
From one instrument to
From
another.
one instrument to another like that, yeah, I would find that confusing.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes I wonder. I think I like no more than 3 instruments, but I think almost 2's about enough. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also handy if I'm just doing a solo show because I can, entertain them maybe that way. I don't know, but it is a little bit difficult because you want to get into a groove with the one instrument. So.
Yeah. I don't know, my brain, I don't know if it could handle that.
Yeah. Well, I have a ballad I want to do, and I could do one more on. What do you want to hear? Another traditional or?
Do both.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do this one more ballad.
Okay.
And this one it's one that I learned from the Beach Mountain community up there. And it comes from a man named Lee Monroe Presnell. And he was an amazing singer.
Presnell, you said?
Yeah, yeah, they say Presnell.
Presnell, okay.
And he was a primitive Baptist minister and a great singer. And this is one of this really well-known one, The Two Sisters. And it goes back hundreds of years in many different countries.
Okay.
And it's one I do without music. There were 2 sisters that loved one man, Jenny Flower, gentle Rosemary. But the youngest of them he loved the best, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. Oh, sister, sister, walk with me, Jenny Flower, gentle Rosemary. Walk with me to the miller's pond, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. The eldest pushed the in. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary. It was all for the sake that the water was clear, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. Oh, sister, sister, reach me your glove. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary, and you may have sweet William for your own true love, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. Oh, sister, sister, I won't reach my glove. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary, and I will have sweet William for my own true love, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. Oh, sister, sister, reach me your hand. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary, and you may have half of the land, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. Oh, sister, sister, I won't reach my hand. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary, and I will have all of the land, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. She floated down, she floated around. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary, she floated down to the miller's pond, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. Oh, it is not a fish, nor it is not a swan. Ginny flower, gentle rosemary, it is sweet William's own true love, and the jury hangs over the rosemary. That's one of those old sad ballads.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to know how those relate to today. They're still, you know what I mean? It's so ornate and old sounding.
Well, it's such a personal song, I think, and it's sometimes music can touch you in ways that you don't even understand yourself. You can hear expressed feelings that you have had but never made expression of. Do you want to play one more song before we close up?
Yeah.
And,
okay.
Okay.
Well, speaking of feelings, this is an old one called the Riddle Song. You may know it. I think it's been covered by some popular bands.
Yeah.
I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. I gave my love a chicken that had no bone. Gave my love a baby with no crying. I told my love a story that had no end. How can there be a cherry that has no stone? How can there be a chicken that has no bone? How can there be a baby with no crying? How can there be a story that has no end? A cherry, when it's blooming, it has no stone. A Chicken, when it's pippin', it has no bone. Baby, when it's sleeping, there's no crying. A story that says I love you, it has no end.
Yes, I have heard that.
Yeah.
So before we go, if you would tell people how they can become involved in the jam program, who they can contact if they would like to learn there, become a student there, or contribute in some way.
You could contact Betty Brown at the Junior Appalachian Musicians program. I would go to the Jackson County Arts Council because they're the affiliate for the jam program.
Okay.
And be looking out. There's some square dances happening in Jackson County and contra dances, and that's a good way to get involved.
That's true. Yeah, Ron Arps, I know, runs the contra dance program, and his wife, Ron and Kathy Arps. Yeah. Any parting thoughts?
Everyone, just that everyone has a voice and everyone can sing. So they say a lot of times with the old ballads, it's not really about making it pretty, it's about telling the story.
Susan, it's been a great pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you, and I hope you'll come back. And we talked about the possibility of you even having a program here on Mountain Stream TV. I hope that happens.
That'd be good.
And thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.